unless it's professional wrestling, I know nothing about sport, and I intend to keep it that way. But what I do know about is insane Japanese horror comedies, which is exactly what Deadball from 2011 is. I recently watched another Japanese horror comedy, and on IMDb, in that little section underneath that's like, oh, if you liked this, you will also like this. That's where I found Deadball, and then I looked into this and saw the images and just thought, this could possibly be one of the most insane Japanese horror movies I have ever seen, which is saying something because one of my favourite movies of all time is Tokyo Gore Police. But if you don't know anything about Deadball from 2011, let me quickly fill you in. Yaku vows to never play baseball again after accidentally killing his father with a super fast fireball pitch and becomes a hardened criminal. Now 17, he is sent to Pterodactyl Juvenile Reform School, where the sadistic headmistress forces him to join the baseball team, where he soon learns from the governor that his long-lost younger brother has also recently done time there after a murder spree, but has since mysteriously died. If you're new here, I go by Hordes, and if you're not new, welcome back. I talk about horror movies here on my channel on Mondays and Fridays, but as always, when it comes to watching movies that I have never seen before, I am now going to go and watch Deadball from 2011 off camera, so that way, if you two decide that you want to watch this murderous baseball horror comedy, nothing will be spoiled for you, because nobody wants to watch a movie you have just watched somebody else watch from start to finish, because then you'll know exactly what's going to happen, and I keep it spoiler free here on my channel.
This is how you hit a crotch with a baseball bat!
Okay, I knew that this one was going to be insane just from the opening scene. Now, when I say this kid accidentally kills his dad, I mean he rearranges the guy's entire face from 200 feet in the air with a fireball baseball and leaves nothing but a smoking crater.
Look, I'm Picasso!
The main headmistress character in this is like if you rolled the three main ladies from prison school into one character and then they had a baseball team. Like Ishihara, who is the headmistress, to try and keep this in YouTube friendly terms, her grandfather was a member of a certain German political party during World War II that rhymes with kamikaze, and she is proud of this. So we're talking, yes, she's insane, and then you see all the weird stuff that is littered around her office, and then you find out that she's got a butler who is also an assassin. And then her second in command, Elsa, I can't remember what she's called. She is then put in charge of the baseball team, and she is also the next level kind of crazy who has got a certain kink that works really well with prison searches, if you get what I mean. Like, this movie is wild. The plot is actually an underdog story, and we are talking about a group of juveniles in a prison high school that are put on a baseball team by a headmistress who has alternative unknown motives that do get revealed, and I nearly spat my coffee out at the twist for that because I was not expecting them to go there with this plot twist. But everybody on this team is really likeable. Like, that's the strange thing to say, is they're all murderers in some kind of way, but they're likeable. They killed people that, like, bullied them mercilessly in school, or they killed somebody that, you know, to save a parent. We're talking this kind of likeable. And then we meet the rival school, which is Saint Black Dahlia. If you understand that reference, you're also a true crime fan. And their entrance is worthy of, like, any professional wrestling TV program. Like, it would not look out of place on, like, WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA. Like, insert them straight into there as a faction and it would just work. And their manager is also from the same, like, to keep it friendly, political German-leaning faction party thing as the headmistress that is in charge of the pterodactyls. It's like, it's wild.
Don't question it, just roll with it, tiny baby.
Like, how often do you watch a movie and you could say, oh yeah, it absolutely makes sense that a 10-foot steampunk baseball bat wielding version of the Iron Giant covered in a certain German political party symbol, yeah, that just makes sense. Like, of course this thing is going to show up. That's how insane this movie gets at times. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this one, and that is saying something. However, I do think that this movie drags on ever so slightly too long, and if you could maybe chop out like 10 minutes, take it from before the baseball game, or even change the ending completely, which I will talk about later on, then this would have been better. Like, you might get whiplash from the speed that the plot moves on, but it's a sacrifice that I am prepared to make because, yeah, it's just that little bit too long. The physical humour is great. It is over the top, campy, even more so than Dead Sushi, if you saw my review for that here on my channel. Like, it is like an episode of Looney Tunes, but made into a real life action horror comedy movie. Like, there is no chill in this. Like, the cigarettes being pulled out of actual nowhere, that never failed to crack me up. And then you give me, like, opening a fire hydrant levels of blood, like buckets and buckets of the stuff. Some of it is like practical effects, a lot of it is really dodgy CGI, but I do not care. I just kind of love it. And then on top of that, you give me these like gnarly practical effects with the special effects makeup, and it's great. I have no issues. I can't describe anything without spoilers, but pencils will never be the same again.
My friends could do a little better than a lousy pen and pencil set.
To put this in YouTube-friendly terms, there are quite a lot of a certain German political party's kamikaze symbols and salutes, which I understand will be an absolute no for some people, and there will be people that find that offensive. But I will say that they are the villains in this movie. They are never portrayed as anything but the villains in this movie. The movie does not try to go for a sympathetic angle with these people. Like, they are villains, and the straight up villains. In the end, I am actually going to give Deadball from 2011 a 3.5 out of 5 stars because the humour and the gore and the violence in this just hit so well for me. The characters are really likeable on the baseball team, and this plot is just so wild. Like, I never knew where this plot was gonna go, but my issues are, it just feels slightly too long, and the ending of this movie just left me baffled because this ending doesn't feel like it belongs to this movie. Like, the rest of the movie is very campy, it's very over the top, it's an action, horror, comedy, like, it's not afraid to go there. And then they went for this ending, and it just feels like such a meh ending compared to the rest of the movie. Like, that shouldn't be the ending, like, no. So there you have it, my initial thoughts and my review for my first time watching Deadball from 2011. If you've also seen this movie, I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are down in the comments section down below. Are you going to skip this one, or is this one that you'd be interested in? If so, I will leave a link to justwatch.com so you can see where it is streaming in your country. If you would like to know every single movie that I watch though, not just the ones I talk about here on YouTube, you can also find me over on Instagram and Letterboxd at HordesOfHorror, or maybe even stick around and join the Horde here on YouTube. I will be back though on Monday with a 2024 release because I try and do one of these every month, but I try and cover 2024 releases that nobody is talking about. And I found a little sci-fi horror that came out in April that actually looks like it has some potential. So until next time, bye.